Well, I'm very honored to be introducing our next speaker. He's an eloquent, progressive activist who connects the dots between social justice and environmental justice, a tireless campaigner for the Wilderness Committee. Please welcome Torrance Koster.
Well, I wish you didn't say eloquent. Now the pressure's on, isn't it? I also want to acknowledge our presence this morning on unceded Lekwungen territories, and throughout this walk on the territories of the nations, we'll be walking, briefly sailing, and I think briefly busing through. There are 1,000 reasons why this pipeline is an absolute non-starter. I've campaigned against it for years at the Wilderness Committee. I had the privilege to attend the COP21 Climate Summit in Paris in 2 Decembers ago, where I advocated against this pipeline on a world stage. I want to talk about 2 of them today. One's been touched on a lot, but it cannot be repeated enough, and that's the fact that this pipeline does not just cross any old land and any old water. It crosses Indigenous territories and Indigenous waters. And if we're serious about righting the relationships with these nations, that means respecting their right to say no, and that means bringing this project to a halt on that merit alone, full stop. The leadership of these nations is something that is so inspirational and should shatter and eradicate any question of what we can do in a future without oil, in a future without fossil fuels. There is the knowledge, the integrity, the love for place, the respect for other people that has existed on this coast since time immemorial. We need to be fostering that, encouraging that, learning that, not clinging to this dying industry, clinging to these dying resources, and building another pipeline in an industry that's growing more obsolete by the day. And the second reason, in my opinion, speaks directly to the main argument for proponents of this pipeline. When you hear people arguing for it, be them politicians like the Prime Minister or the soon-to-be ex-Premier, or industry representatives, the argument they make is that the risk can be mitigated, that spills can be cleaned up or avoided for the most part. We need to be challenging the very premise of this conversation and come clear with one key fact. Every single drop, if this pipeline is built, which it won't be, every single drop that comes through it will spill. Every single drop. Some of it might spill into the Sailish Sea and destroy coastal ecosystems and the ways of life they support, and every other ounce of it will spill into the atmosphere and destabilize those ecosystems and those ways of life for people all over the world. And on that merit alone, this is a global justice issue. There are people around the world who have not caused the climate crisis to the same degree that we have. We have an utter moral responsibility to them to stand up and say no to it. So I'm marching for those 2 reasons and many others. I'm honored to be marching with all of you. I'm honored to even be on the same stage as some of the leaders, Elizabeth and Carol and Lisa and Elder Morris. And just, I hope to meet each and every one of you over the course of the walk, because we have to march for each other as well. We march for this coast, we march for Indigenous rights, we march for the climate. Let's march for each other and march for those relationships. So I have so much love for all of you. I hope to meet all of you as soon as possible this morning. Thanks so much. Enjoy the walk.